So I'm going to open up with a few lighthearted comments about things my mother taught me. My mom taught me logic when she said, "Because I said so, that's why." My mom taught me foresight. Well, should I read this one? Make sure you wear clean underwear in case you're in an accident. You probably have heard that one before. My mom taught me about contortionism. Will you look at that dirt on the back of your neck? My mom taught me about patience. You'll sit there until all that spinach is gone. My mom taught me about the weather. This room of yours looks as if a tornado went through it. I like this one. My mother taught me about hypocrisy. If I told you once, I've told you 1,000,000 times. Do not exaggerate. My mom taught me about envy. There are millions of less fortunate children in this world who don't have the wonderful parents like you do. Especially when you're eating something, finish your food. You know how many children. My mom taught me about anticipation. Just wait till we get home. My mom taught me about receiving. You're going to get it when you get home. My mom taught me about ESP. Put your sweater on. Don't you think I know when you are cold? My mom taught me how to become an adult. If you don't eat your vegetables, you'll never grow up. My mom taught me about roots. And now this one we've heard, I'll bet. Shut that door behind you. Do you think you were born in a barn? My mom taught me, last one, about religion. You'd better pray that comes out of the carpet. Okay, well, those are on the internet, but except for the last one, you better pray they'll come out of the carpet. She did say that to me. My mother said that, except many years ago, my mother, again, picture of my mother, selected a new carpet in the living room, and it was very, very white, light-colored or ivory-colored, and there was a group of people over there, and somehow or another, I literally spilled red wine on this new carpet, and my mother did scream. I did that. I don't even drink red wine now. We did what we could, but I believe someone had to come in professionally to clean it the next day. My mother screamed, but she did forgive me, eventually, after many years. What my mother did say to me often, literally, was, "Gregg, I just worry about you so." And in the summertime, she would say, "You don't have to be in the boat all day long, do you?" Or, "We are having dinner at 6 p.m. tonight with or without you." Actually, she may have said that. But for the most part, when we were out water skiing or playing at the lake, she would still wait for us to get there. The one that kept coming up for some number of reasons, and I'm not too sure why, but she says, "Gregg, I worry about you so often." My mother simply was a worrier. I guess that's a good thing. And it does make the statement that she loves me and is concerned about me. I think I've inherited this trait of worrying about things. I think I'm a worrier. For example, I'm worried as I'm writing this message. I'm worried about putting together a special Mother's Day message right now as I put these thoughts down. Is it going to be okay? I'm worried. Now, for myself, I did not have the best start with my mother. She already had a son who was 12 years old and a daughter who was 10 years old when she learned that she was pregnant with me. I heard from my aunts and uncles that my mother would confide in them by saying, "Well, if I'm going to have a baby at the age of 42 in 1948, it had better be a girl." Not only was I not a girl, but I was told that I had my days and nights mixed up coming home from the hospital. So I cried during the night and slept during the day for the first few months. My dad, who was working hard during the day, was particularly not appreciative of this problem. But somehow they decided to keep me. I guess this problem straightened out, and apparently I ended up being a normal kid. I remember my childhood as being good with very caring and loving parents. I can even remember some specific good events that make me smile. Perhaps you can think of some very good things as you remember your mothers today. Now, I also suspect that we can remember some not so good times with mother or even father too. The first part of my childhood was very good, but then there were some problems that developed with parents. And so I can remember some difficult times. I'm not going to go into that per se, but Mother's Day today hopefully is to think about the good things mothers did for us. So, my mother's name was Phoebe. The origin of this name, Phoebe, could be from the Greek god of the sun named Phoebus Apollo. And Phoebe apparently can mean bright or radiant. My mother's name was a Swedish name. Parents came from Sweden, as did my father's parents came from Sweden. Matter of fact, even when I was born, my father's parents did some commuting between St. Paul and Sweden. So my mother's maiden name was Åkerlund, or Åkerlund. And Åker means a field, and Lund means a grove. Again, her parents came from Sweden to St. Paul, Minnesota. I've only been to Sweden once, and somehow or another, I think the latitude is about the same, but Sweden, the land and atmosphere of Sweden seemed very much like Minnesota. Maybe it's the same latitude, but I could see the resemblance and why people from Sweden would end up in Minnesota. She was the firstborn of children, the firstborn. The other children, her name was Phoebe. The other children were Leona, Orpha, Reuben, and Nathaniel. My mother lived for 98 years. She died in 1996. Now, Phoebe is actually a biblical name, mentioned just once by the Apostle Paul in the book of Romans when he writes, I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deaconess of the church at Cenchrea, that may receive her in the Lord as befits the saints, and help her in whatever she may require from you. For she's been a helper of many and of myself as well. So I would say my mother, Phoebe, lived that out and was a very caring mother. And again, not without some challenges from time to time. So I have good remembrances. Mother's Day, important. Take a special time to honor another human being is a good thing. Now, there are two founders of Mother's Day, Julia Ward Howe, by the way, I might just mention that there was a day in England called Mothering Sunday. So I wish Nicholas could probably explain that to us, called Mothering Sunday before we had Mother's Day here. But Julia Ward Howe, a woman named Julia Ward Howe, made the first suggestion in the United States in 1872. And Julia Ward Howe is the one who composed, you will know this, the Battle Hymn of the Republic in 1861, after the Civil War started. And I'm proud to tell you that I happen to be a proud graduate of Julia Ward Howe Grade School in Minneapolis in 1960. And what's really weird, I have a photo of it. Howe School, Julia Ward Howe, the originator of Mother's Day, was a grade school I went to, class of 1960. And I'll leave it, I should pass it around and see if you can pick me out, but I'm the really good-looking one in the back here. Do you have a picture of your graduation in grade school? No, why do I have one? It's really weird. And one of my good friends, we lived really close to the Mississippi River, a block or so, and one of my friends who lived on the same block was named Fritzy Lott. Fritz Lott. And I see his picture here. He made contact with me this past year and came across his photo. I hadn't talked to him for a long time, but we were kind of best of friends in grade school. And then after this, he went on to a private school, and I did as well. But this was a public school, Julia Ward. How? Okay. The other founder of Mother's Day, a few years later, is named Anna Jarvis, who celebrated Mother's Day in a church. Anna Jarvis wanted to honor her mother and other mothers and motherhood. 1 year after her mother's death, Anna Jarvis approached Norman Kendall of Grafton, Virginia, asking him to help organize a Mother's Day memorial committee from her mother's co-workers at Andrew's Church. On the second anniversary of Anna's mother's death, a Mother's Day service was held at the St. Andrew's Church on May 12, 1907. It received national recognition on May 9th, 7 years later, 1914, as declared by the President Woodrow Wilson. And Anna Jarvis wrote about the purpose of this day. To revive, in just a couple lines, to revive the dormant filial love and gratitude we owe to those who gave us birth. To make us better children by getting us closer to the hearts of our good mothers. To brighten the lives of good mothers. To have them know we appreciate them. Tell your mother often a few of her noble good qualities and how you love her. God bless our faithful good mothers. Anna Jarvis concluded, God bless our faithful mothers. I think it's interesting to note that not only does we ask for God's blessing upon mothers, such as in the fifth commandment. The fifth commandment. I'm sure you all know it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land of which the Lord your God gives you. But we might as well say that God created mothers and motherhood in the first place. Just, I guess, stop and think how this world works and is integrated with all of nature. I still do a lot of weddings, and I think it's really important. I appreciate being a minister to a wedding. I think it's a spiritual thing, how people are attracted still to one another and want to have kind of a spiritual, which I don't know if I want to say a blessing or action when we do this, because it's not just something that institutions have given us. I think we've always had this sense of being attracted to another person and want to make that commitment or covenant to a special person. I mean, obviously you know that those things don't always work out, but that's still the intent. We're still doing that. We're still doing, now, most of the weddings I do are the children of parents I've married. I'm very old. I love doing that. I love when I get an opportunity. And I've done more than a dozen or 15 weddings of children that I've had the privilege of marrying. But you see, it's natural for people to be attracted. And I think it's even natural to make that covenant or long-term commitment with someone. And I'm not increasing in any way, shape, or form, what happens when separation may have to happen. But even after separation, we still connect with another person. I have done that. And it's not easy, it's hard, but it's still the intent. And I think there's something born within us. Somehow, I'm just going to say, there's somehow a part of the creation that says there's going to be people who are attracted to one another in a deep, deep way. I want to say it's God-given, if I may say that. When we fall in love, we make choices along the way for the pairing to happen. But it all begins with something instinctual, in nature, innate within us. this concept called love. Just think of how this natural world works. What we often sometimes take for granted just because of its regularity or predictability remains completely miraculous. Now, for example, in the natural world, I just read that it's expected that when a potential threat occurs between some animals, a bear cub and the father bear, the reaction of the father bear, animal bear, is moderate. But when there is a threat between a bear cub and the mother bear, the reaction is no longer moderate, and the threat is immediately eliminated no matter what the threat may be. So if you find yourself caught in between a cub and a full-size bear, you should check it out to see if the big bear is male or female. I have no idea how to do that. But it's so natural. But the point is, that's true. And the mother bear has this mothering instinct to protect. And it's sort of like the old joke about the man confronted, chased by a hungry grizzly bear. He keeps running until he finds himself trapped in a ravine, and not knowing anything else he can do, he gets down on his knees and prays, "Please, Lord, make this bear a Christian so he will have mercy on me." The sky darkens, lightning strikes, and just before the bear is about to pounce on the man, the bear suddenly stops, gets down on his knees, and folds his hands in prayer. And the bear says, "Dear Lord, I give you thanks for the food I am about to eat." Now, many will remember that joke, but the point is, there's something very natural about how people get together and how motherhood is created. I know the other story about the younger man, a young boy, finally learns about how babies are made. He goes up to his mother and father and said, "I just learned about this. That can't be right." But it is. That's how the world works. Integral part of nature. So when we celebrate Mother's Day, we're not just saying thanks to mothers, but let's say to our mothering God, Creator. We are made in the image of God. We're used to Father, but equally so, Mother. God is Mother. Keep in mind that Cynthia Bourgeau, who's been part of our chapel in the past and a professor, has established the Aspen Wisdom School at this chapel. And the word wisdom in its Hebraic origin is a feminine noun for the very word of God and Creator. It's been existing for a long time. Unconditional love is not our invention. It existed before and will exist after us. The metaphor for God as Father and Mother is appropriate for our limited projections of our Creator, but is not because God emulates a father or mother, but mothers and fathers emulate the breath of God born within. Our need to give and receive unconditional love, I'm going to say, is God-given. I'm not too sure how else to qualify this mystery and miraculous reality of desire, love, unconditional love. Ashanda Mahuran interprets Julian of Norwich's 14th century projection, love, it's all one love. Love. Who invented it? As Anna Jarvis, one of the creators of Mother's Day, proclaimed, God bless our faithful mothers. Let us indeed give our thanks and gratitude to God, our mothers and the invention of motherhood. It's all connected. We are made in God's image. Think about that. It's how we are created in this universe and in whatever this God may be. Last week I said God is indefinable. We can only surmise partially. Our knowledge is imperfect and our prophecy is imperfect. But when the perfect comes, the imperfect will pass away. So faith, hope, and love but the greatest of these is love. It's all pretty wonderful when we pause, sit back, and take a God's eye view of everything. And God said, it is good. Amen. We have a little time left. Thanks, Tom. If anyone would like to make any comment, I think Nicholas has really started that, for making any comment they'd like to from where you're sitting there, but Tom has the mic. But if I would specifically say, if anyone might want to think of a sentence or two about something you remember of your mother, or something good about your or your not so good, no, anything good about your mother, feel free to share that, like my mother was so-and-so. But any comments at all, or particularly, there you go, thanks.
Mom was 99 yesterday, and I have photos on my phone and videos.
99? Where is she? Connecticut. Wow, thank you. 99, can go make 100.
I think so.
Rich. Red Skelton.
Closing words.
Speaking to the mic.
Otherwise, the people on the TV.
Yeah, that's fine. God bless. Good night and God bless.
Right.
We're both 1948. But you look better than I do. You're taller, better looking. I'm only 4'18".
Red Skelton is very important. I have a signed picture of a clown by Red Skelton. You know, it's a print, but it's signed. Ooh, it's signed by Red Skelton. I love watching Red Skelton with my parents. It's actually my dad.
I just have I don't know why this came to mind, but I'm one of 9 children, and when my mother married my father, she was a pianist. She was a spoiled, happy, lovely woman who didn't even know how to run a washing machine, and then raised this family of 11 people with just grace and dignity and kindness. We lost her 25 years ago, but so it just makes me laugh how she treated each one of us as her best friend, but when she got married, had this giant family and didn't even know how to care for a house, but people adapt.
Rich, okay, there's someone over here.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Bachram. Gregg, thank you so much for telling us the stories about Phoebe. And I made notes, and about 75% of what you just talked about, my mom did the same thing. Just a footnote, though, my dad covered the weather.
Dad covered the weather.
So when I was about 2 years old, actually in the 2nd grade, we moved across town. And my mother and father asked me if I would like to attend a Catholic school. And I said, sure, because I knew most of the kids there already. I thought it'd be fun. But this meant I had to ride the bus across town with all the high school kids. And this one young man, I use that loosely, took half of my sandwich every day, took half of my lunch.
Speaking of me.
And so there was going to be heck to pay if I did not give him half my lunch. Well, I told my mother this, and I was very embarrassed. I asked her to make me another lunch. And she says, you weigh 40 pounds, why do you need 2 sandwiches? Well, she finally got it out of me. And the next day she says, well, this lunch is for you. This other lunch, which was just peanut butter and jelly and maybe an apple. He didn't get ham and cheese and certainly no Oreo cookies or chips. She says, this is your lunch, and this is the bully's lunch.
The bully's lunch.
You tell the bully that I will make him a lunch every day he wants, but he's to leave you alone. So this went on for a month, and finally the bully says, well, you can tell your mother she doesn't need to make me a lunch anymore.
But it's a great story about being nice to someone who was being your bully.
Yep.
Amazing.
she took that route rather than calling the school. She just figured it was another mouth that needed to be fed.
Smart mother. Thank you, thank you. Oh, there's another comment there, and then we'll come back to Rich.
The one thing I remember about my mother is that, not so much about my mother, it's about me, how I never appreciated how great she really was.
Yeah. Good reason to have Mother's Day. Anybody else? Did you want to just make another comment? He wants to, Rich. Thank you for your comments, and I do thank you for being here. We're going to have another piece of music here. Speak in the mic.
Bullying. I've been bullied my entire life. At J.C. Marshall Junior High, the bully was Rodney Kalunky. And when he kicked, I carried 2 briefcases. When he kicked my briefcase, I came unglued. And I hit him more than he hit me, and I sent him to the nurse's office. Herman, my great-grandma Herman lived to be 104, and she didn't want to live any longer because she thought God was punishing her. She shipped a trunk that I still have, passed down generations, across the Atlantic for $300. Not one scratch on it. This is just amazing. My mom, McConnell, Ireland, Limerick, John Kelleher, Scotch, Irish, and German. We came from Poppenweiler, Germany, where our name was von Wagener, which is VW. We were the predecessor to VW.
Wow. Now you're a Wager.
Buy a VW tomorrow.
Now you're a Wager.
I've won.
Oh!
Speak here. I'm one of 14 kids, and my mom's amazing. So that's
14.
I know it's a whole other sermon, but she homeschooled all of us pretty amazing. So
Would it-
big shout out to Sharon.
A Roman Catholic?
You'd think.
Oh!
I have one story, and my mother was a piece of work, and we were in a restaurant, and she kept looking over, and she said, "There is Truman Capote. That's Truman Capote. Look around behind you. Isn't that Truman Capote? That's got to be Truman Capote." So I turned around and I looked, and I said, "I don't know if it's Truman Capote, but he's sitting with Paul Newman."
Well, that's a good one to end on.